Growing up, I always wanted to do so many things.
I wanted to be a vet.
I wanted to be an actor.
I wanted to be a celebrity by any means necessary.
This is Spike Drop Vegas Heist.
I'm only here for a 2B. I don't really care about any other place.
Can't even comprehend what is going on, but I like it.
Hi, my name is Brian. I'm better known as Docta Afrikan as a pro Street Fighter player, and this is Wannabe.
What an upset! With the clean face and the whip punish.
Look at him, like he's punching out at work going on.
I'm a professional Street Fighter player. I think I've played fighting games pretty much my whole life. I have two older brothers, so naturally there was a console in the house, and we played a lot of different games. And fighting games was just kind of like one of our things. We had sports games and fighting games, and over time I kind of just gravitated towards that above everything else. And yeah, I've just always been a huge fan of martial arts and combat sports and fighting and things like that. So seeing that in the digital realm was just really attractive to me. I think it was just kind of where I was at the time. It seemed like it was the game that made the most sense for me to play. YouTube and tournaments kind of got me closer into the fighting game community, which naturally, Street Fighter being the biggest game as far as fighting games go, that's where you're going to find most of the players. So that's kind of where I went towards. So I went deeper into that world. I started watching videos, started looking at different strategies and combos and things like that. And I went deeper into the world, and I got better at the game and started playing online. I'm one of those guys who's like, yeah, I'm a kid. I have free time. All I do when I get home is play Street Fighter. So I got pretty decent. And then when I went to college, and one of my friends told me, hey, there's a community around here that's they meet up every week and they play. I was like, yeah, I'll go there and beat all of them up. It's fine. And I remember going up over there and I lost to every single person.
Here's the real question though. Does Docta accept defeat? Does he accept defeat? Docta, this is a big decision.
Okay, we've got smug.
Don't regret what you do. Walk away. Walk away.
Oh!
Yeah! That's what I like to see.
Counter.
Walk away.
From that point, I started grinding the games. I started learning more and more. I learned all these things about how do you even play this game really, right? And from that point, I started competing in local events. I lost a lot. But eventually, I started doing better and better. I started beating people in some rounds and things like that. As I got better, by the end of Street Fighter 4 was the game, I was finally able to start beating really strong players, national level players, international level players sometimes. And then Street Fighter 5 came out. I would say this is when I really became a true competitive player with Street Fighter 5. I was able to win pretty much everything in my region, which I was very happy about, because all the time and all the losses finally became something good. I went to my first big event outside of my region, EVO 2016, so right back to the very beginning. And I was able to place, if I'm not mistaken, 65th, I think, out of 4,000 people. And I was very happy about that because EVO's, like I said, the hardest tournament ever. I've been able to win quite a few tournaments. I've placed really highly in a lot of tournaments. I think ever since then, I've just been really putting in the work and got recognized by a lot of people as probably one of the strongest Bison players in the world by the end of Street Fighter 5. So now Street Fighter 6 is the main game. I'm relearning the whole thing again, just like I did from Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5. So yeah, it's been quite the ride.
Right now, I would say the average player's skill is significantly higher in Street Fighter 6.
As time has passed and more resources have been made available to everyone, a lot of players now are way stronger than they used to be. So it's not as simple as applying your default chess strategy where you just move this piece over there and then they're going to go over there. It's like, oh, cool, I'm just going to play my way to victory here. It takes a lot more effort now to be consistent, which is very difficult if you're a professional player. Right now, we're more of a sprint than it ever has been, as far as I can tell, because everyone is so good. Everyone wants to qualify for the Capcom Cup because that's where you get the $2 million, and it's really tough compared to before. It's way more competitive. There's way more money on the line, and yeah, there are a lot of tryhards out there now. It's very hard to come by a true professional fighting game player because fighting games don't necessarily have the most money. If you're able to do that full time, then you're either very lucky or very talented. I was able to get legitimate sponsorships. I was able to win events and sustain myself through those means. But as time went on, I realized it's probably better to be more of a semi-pro and kind of get something that is supplementing as opposed to being a pro on long term. So right now I work for a company called Hitbox. Hitbox is a fighting game controller, well, primarily fighting game controller. So it's an invention that's meant to optimize how you play fighting games and precision and all that stuff. And yeah, I'm the partnership manager for that company, but on the side of that, I'm still a competitive Street Fighter player. So I would describe myself more as a semi-pro at most. I don't know if I want to commit to the word pro yet, up until I learn Street Fighter 6, and maybe I can make that full push and try to get on a full sponsor program or something like that. But for right now, I think semi-pro is more accurate. Dallas is HQ for my family as far as the United States goes. We knew enough people in Dallas to where it made sense for us to go there. And that's where my parents lived for the longest time. That's where the family house is. When I moved here, it's kind of weird because now it's like a whole new thing all over again. My parents still don't know what I do. They don't really understand it. I've tried to explain it so many times I've given up, right? Because I've worked in the esports world, in the gaming world as a whole, for a good chunk of my adult life. And even as a player, when I was a player, it's like, how do I even explain this, right? I'm playing video games, I'm getting paid for it. How do I even explain this to them? Fortunately, I didn't have to explain that because by the time they were asking questions, I was already kind of in the workforce as far as being in esports and working on the back end. I got interested in martial arts when I was a teenager. Started training a lot by myself. I kept asking my parents to let me do Taekwondo at the time. Like, I want to do this. I think it'd be good for me. They just wouldn't let it happen. So when I turned 17, I was finally able to take some MMA classes. And after training for quite some time, my mom got wind of how serious it was getting, and I was about to start fighting very soon when I turned 18, so she kind of cut me off, unfortunately. That was the first thing that I think she was the most worried about, was I might get hurt. So me kind of pivoting over to fighting games, I don't think was the worst thing in the world for them. And I think that they saw that one coming as well, because whatever I focus on, I get good at it. And I think that she kind of caught that early, right on time for her situation, because I do think I'd probably be, if not pro right now, I'd probably be fighting for sure, right? A lot of my siblings are in the medical field. Got a few doctors running around. Going down that pathway of being a doctor or being an engineer, yeah, that was not for me whatsoever. And I'm very happy that I kind of deterred from that and did something else, because I think I've kind of found my own way. I think I'm very fortunate being one of the last of my siblings. I got to see two older brothers kind of go through a lot of the things that I had to face later on. So very lucky, and I had 6 sisters. So you want to talk about experience with women, right? Like, that's actually, I got to understand women on a whole different level pretty early on. So I think that a lot of who I am, how I handle things, is heavily based on the dynamic that I had at home growing up. My sisters were very protective growing up as well, so that was very cool. My brothers, I mean, only if it was a fight, right? They don't really care that much otherwise, or something like that. But yeah, I think a lot of my decision making down the line, a lot of what I decided to do school-wise, the things I got interested in, I think it was heavily based on all of that. I think that one of the things that we face is predecessors or parents or whoever's advising us when we're younger. They have an idea of how the world is, and they may be blinded by how the world has changed. And there's a lot that I listen to that I think I may have been better off just not hearing at all. I say all that to say that if I could talk to my younger self and give one piece of advice, just one. Information's free, and you have it in your hands. And I think that I didn't understand that I could learn anything I wanted just by searching anything. Just how I got good at many things later on was just look it up. It's right there on Google. I don't even need a mentor. You know, I can find a mentor when I get decent at it, but until then, you just look it up. And I think that if my younger self was armed with that information, I'd be a very different person right now.